Hello, I'm Sofie Van de Velde. I'm a gallerist, but most of all, I'm an entrepreneur in art. Being a gallerist isn't a goal, it's a tool. In this presentation, I want to lead you to my roots because I'm a second-generation gallerist, and I want to tell you about my challenges I have to deal with. This is my father at Art Basel. No, this is my father, Ronnie Van de Velde. A self-made gallerist since he was 18 years old. His parents, entrepreneurs, were not so happy with his decision, the late 60s. My father was 18 years old, I was born, and with a suitcase full of passion, he began this adventure. First, he was a dealer in very rare comic books and antiques. Step by step, he grew a little bit in the art world. And I'm Sofie Van de Velde, raised in the background, full of art between Jeff Koons, Namjoon Paik, Richter, and more. All came at our houses, and it was fun. But most of all, they were human beings searching in the art world. But from the 70s until the mid-80s, our life was quite chaotic. We had no money at all. Our days were never planned. Artists were there all the time. And if we sold something, we could pay our rent for a while. And after school, I never know if we stayed home or that we had to go on adventure for art. We took our Warburg, I don't know if you remember the East German car, who always was broke, to London, France, and more. We always were looking to rare art pieces all over the world. And to be honest, I skipped school many times. And my father said, later you will remember that we were here today. But what you learned at school that day, you won't remember anymore. He was damn right. This is my father's gallery after 20 years of hard working in the south of Antwerp. He did amazing things, exhibitions, and I was there. I collaborated, I helped him, and more. I did an internship from when I was 17 until 21. What did it bring to me? Crises are the most productive moments for creativity. Being busy with beautiful works, with interesting artists in a not-so-everyday contest. It was crazy. It was a never-boring childhood. But the art world is one of the most concurrential places all over the world. I saw also, to be honest, the dark side of being a gallerist. It's hard working with a lot of power fights. So this was, for example, my father invested a lot in this gallery, 20 years of investment. And suddenly there was the crisis, the Gulf War crisis, and 90s. In times of crisis, our family was most productive. There were no sales. The prices of the art were reduced totally. But the good thing was the insurance was low as well. So at that moment, we made top exhibitions, like the exhibition from Man Ray, Duchamp, and others. But there are a few things I learned, like the art world is a small world. Never blow up bridges. You will need them later. Because it's such a small world, everybody knows everybody. You can have different opinions, but please don't fight, because it makes your world much smaller. For me, this is Ria Paquet. It's a work from the 90s. She was one of my favorite long time. But anyhow, it was time for me to move. Because of all these experiences, I want to do something completely different. Reflecting about this, I think I wanted to understand the art world a little bit more. So I studied for social worker, teacher, therapist, and educational trainer. I worked with people in poverty and with youngsters in jail. In the beginning, I worked with people in individual therapy. After a while, I took pupils out of their comfort zone. I did trekkings and climbed into the mountains for weeks. Because out of your comfort zone, you can't hide yourself anymore. Working with a network around the pupils helped them to recover from disfigured behavior. Networks are important to avoid negative behavior. And after years of coaching, I wanted to change the system. So I went back to university. I was 36 years at that moment, and I ended as a scientist. I did research about poverty, about pupils for the government, and for independent political research. But most of all, we created new systems around people in poverty and with mental problems. I worked in this line of business for more than 20 years. And what did I learn about all this? If you want to change something, enlarge the things that goes well and focus on the good things. To be honest, I was very happy in this world where they headhunted me for a job, and I could become a director from 100 social workers and more. In the weekends, I traveled to auctions, made exhibitions, and talked about art. My father and mother are afraid to fly, so there were opportunities. And in my field, nobody knows I had a background in art. I loved my job as a consultant because I've changed, I added values, I created new networks and more. But then my father went ill. He had cancer and wanted to die. He was only 60 years. 8 years ago, he asked me to come back to the art business, which I did. I left my career after me and decided to go back to my roots. So I joined the art world and did a project with my father, Museum to Scale, a project in which we asked 100 artists to make their own museum to scale. I visited 100 studios, had talks with artists about their life, their habits, their goals, and I learned a lot. Like Luc Tuymans, Marie-Jo Lafontaine, for example, Walter van Beirendonck as well. It was fun. And we represented this project in 4 museums all over the world, like also in Museum of Modern Art in Brussels, the Kunsthalle Rotterdam, and in Florida. And the good thing was, my father was totally recovered. But the art world has 2 different kinds of approaches. I have to explain about it. You have secondary market and primary market with different clients and different content. My father worked in the secondary market, which means buying and selling. There is no relationship between yourself and the artist. My father always said, a good artist is a dead artist, because then you have an oeuvre and you can make interpunctions. And to be honest, some dealers are really sharks. This is a primary market. In primary market, you work directly with artists, you grow with them, you follow their process, you bring artists in good collections, you collaborate, you make networks around your artist. And I learned from my background that for me it was very important to work with people anyhow. And after 2 years, this is Bent Eikermans, we open an exhibition next week with him. And after 2 years of working with my father, I decided to stop in his gallery. To be honest, this was a tough period for all my family. Nobody was happy with my choice, but I had to be honest to myself and to my skills. Welcome to my new world. I never expected to be a gallerist because I had degrees in other fields, remember? I opened my gallery in a part of our house. Because we had space enough, we wanted to share our place with more visitors, and I grew up in the 70s with a gallery in our home as well. And also, to be honest, we didn't have money at all. So this was a low-cost solution to have a gallery. We live in a Jewish community. The exhibition space is on the 1st floor, so it's a high threshold. But hey, some years we had 5,000 visitors. Meanwhile, a lot changed since my childhood in the art world. From a high expertise-driven mystic world with only a few experts to a world where everybody can find information online and everybody is an expert. At this moment, for example, there are almost 700 registered artists in Belgium, and there are only 80 galleries, which means only 10% of all the artists have a gallery. Only a few artists, but also galleries, can live from their job. Big galleries take over the market. It's very difficult to work with an artist on the long term. Costs are higher, there are more artists than ever before. Mid-galleries can't follow anymore. So we have to act different. I learned a lot from my background and in social work. So we decided to play a little bit more, have less money, no problems, but more fun. So we did a crossover with, for example, fashion. With fashion designers Sofie Van de Velde and artist Joris van de Moortel, we rebuilt our gallery in a butcher store. Slagerij Sofie Van de Velde. It was a performance in which we all were involved. Joris and Philippe made packages with cutted Sofie Van de Velde clothes and pieces from previous artworks, and I put it in a vacuum machine. Anneke van der Vorst and myself, we sold it for only 99 euros. It was a crossover event to mix groups of collectors and fashion lovers. It was a huge success. More than 500 people came at the opening. Our goal, making crossovers, thinking out of the box and have fun. Goal completed. And we do crossovers with more than 30 galleries all over the world. We are just a gallery in Antwerp, remember, so we have to do that. We made an exhibition, for example, this one, still in our small place in Berchem, with the biggest gallery all over the world, Hauser and Wirth. What's their win-win? Knowing a new network, of course. And to be honest, Belgian collectors have a great reputation all over the world. You know why? They collect with their heart. Their win-win, knowing a new network. My win-win, I don't have to tell you, I think. We made a book about Bruce Nauman and Philip van den Berg. It's distributed in more than 10 countries all over the world. Networking, baby. And after 3 years, I invited also my father as a curator in our gallery to see how secondary market, primary market comes together. And at that moment, we crossed also all our addresses, client addresses, with each other. And we saw that only 25% was the same. And this example, this is the Dia Beacon in New York. With 4 other galleries, we made an exhibition about the work from Charlotte Possenenske. The show is traveling to Magba, Marfa, and more. So once again, we are a small gallery in Antwerp, but we will bring its art to the world. And after all these experiences, I was ready for this new adventure. Convinced by the fact that collaborations are necessary, I decided to open a gallery in the new south of Antwerp, together with gallerist Jason Poirier from Plus One Gallery. His father and my father collaborated together because both of them had a gallery in the south of Antwerp. The new south in Antwerp is for us a metaphor of a new beginning, open for all new challenges in the art world. We collaborate, we share our team, our knowledge, our experiences, but we have 2 galleries in one space. What's our vision? Eating pizza together. Because if you eat pizza together, you have this moment of special exchanges. And more, it's important you have to know you eat less. I will share my pizza if you are hungry. But do you want to share your pizza if I'm hungry? That's the question. We share all new challenges in the art world. We collaborate, share our team, our knowledge, and those things, our clients, but we have 2 galleries, and we collaborate with artists, gallerists with the same open-minded. Everybody wants to eat pizza, but hey, do they want to share in the same way? It means you have to tame your ego sometimes. That's also like that. And we like to do adventures with a lot of artists who are great artists, with open-minded, they ambitious and like to jump with us as well. Like Charlene Tibergen. And meanwhile, we're collaborating with a lot of artists. We have our own artists we're representing, but we're open for challenges all the time. Like this main stage speaker from today. We are a place where people meet and enjoy in the broadest way of the word. And we travel together with other galleries. So we create a network for the artists. This is a New York visit with 2 of my colleagues, Conrad Fischer and Mehdi Chouakri, before the opening from a museum show in New York. And sometimes we think out of the box and do crazy things. We as a gallery support collections and find good places to show this unique work. Like one of the collectors had a great corset from Frida Kahlo. After an exhibition in Victoria and Albert Museum in London, this work of art traveled to the Brooklyn Museum in New York. It is an important work of art. So a gallery is a tool, it's not an end point. As gallery, we try to support, think out of the box, sell, bring works in good collections. We are entrepreneurs in art. Last year, like told, we won the European Award for the most innovative gallery from Europe. How cool was that? But what is in it? This is the award. What is in it for all these creative artists? Tips for artists. These are really difficult times for creative people. The government decided to cut the project subsidy with 60% for artists. So more than before, be creative. You have to know only 10% of all the artists has a gallery. So if you want to change something, remember, enlarge the things that goes well. Focus on the good things. So question yourself, why do you need a gallery? Does it support you anyhow? Be creative, be productive. Think out of the box, push to borders, find yourself you. Like this is Fast Colson in +1 Gallery this year. He filled the gallery with wooden pallets, more than 3,000, and he made his own cave and exhibition room into the gallery. We had to climb through with a map to discover his art. If you find the gallery, fine. Finding a gallery is like a marriage, to be honest. You spend a lot of time together, and most of all, you share your most precious part of yourself, your creativity and your energy with them. So don't jump into conclusions. Take your time, reflect about your own values and the values of the gallery. Remember, there's a primary market and secondary market, which is very important. If there is a match, begin with the group show. Why not? And if not, organize an exhibition in empty spaces, in stores, in non-profit places, in restaurants. Spread art. Organize yourself with other artists, like Charlene Tibergen did in the Beurschouwberg of Casper de Vos and Benny Bischoff in the restaurant of a museum. Let your art flow and show yourself. And never underestimate your own network. Your friends, artists, students, professors are your biggest ambassadors. Make reflection groups. Think about your art together. Talk about your work and go for it. And what do we do as a gallery in this complicated art world? Transparency in our processes are very important. As vice president of all the galleries, we see that all the art world is too mystic. Processes aren't clear anymore. And what about prices, for example? That's why we, from our gallery, wrote together the code of conduct with a lot of galleries all over Europe, one code. Like the gallery, together with the gallery, for example, from David Hockney, David Judah. Our goal is to make the art world more transparent. How do we do this? We make our processes, price setting visible. We explain them to all our visitors. We give a lot of explanation about all our artists and about everything. We have a lot of books always, and we're open 6 days a week, which is very important, so everybody can come and visit the gallery. And like this. And media is a tool. What's art about today? We speak about art a lot. We encourage our artists to speak about their work in media with people. Art isn't a bubble anymore. Art must be everywhere. And we have a goal, a challenge. Every house has to be at least one artwork. That's our goal. Like what I did when I worked in social work, when I was a social worker. I put every month €30 on my account to buy an artwork after a while. Or maybe you have to check Kunst aanzet. Try it. We want to be a good alternative for the Audrey Hepburn IKEA poster you find in IKEA. This poster with frame costs around €300. For this same price, you can support a young artist. So in the mutual space in our two galleries, we created the Wonderwall project, a project in which we invite young artists without a gallery, and they can show their work at a reasonable price. We also show visitors how they can build up their own collection with just small pieces, not expensive pieces. You can mix them all. We give a preview on how it could be at your home. This is the Wonderwall project. But most of all, what I learned, be an entrepreneur in art, be creative, share your enthusiasm. We want to share our enthusiasm because after 2 generations of galleries, this is the most important goal. Come and visit us if you want to see more. And if you don't like pizza, check, for example, Casper de Vos. He's one of our artists. Welcome. Thank you.